The Golden State Warriors had everyone talking at the start of the 2024-25 NBA season. Kicking off with a 4-1 record, they seemed like they might just rewrite the narrative after a disappointing previous season. Remember, this was a team that finished 46-36 last year and couldn't even get past the play-in tournament. Losing Klay Thompson to the Dallas Mavericks in the offseason only added to the doubts about their future, but their early season resurgence hinted at something brewing. Even without Steph Curry at full strength, limited to just 3 games early on and averaging just over 18 points in his first 5 games, the Warriors looked sharp. They found new heroes to step up. Buddy Hield quickly became a fan favorite, leading the charge with over 21 points per game and an eye-popping 50% shooting from beyond the arc. Meanwhile, rookie Brandon Podziemski turned heads with his versatile performances. The squad leaned on these new dynamics to secure wins. By the time they hit their 15th game, the Warriors were a stunning 12-3. It wasn't just a hot streak, it felt like they were a real threat again. But then, the magic faded. Here's where it all started to go downhill. In the San Antonio game towards the end of last month, the Warriors looked like their old selves in the first quarter, leading by 12 points and clicking on both ends. But as the game dragged on, their energy seemed to disappear. They blew a 17-point lead in the third quarter and completely crumbled in the fourth, getting outscored by 20 points. A classic Warriors collapse. And the worst part? It was the first night of a back-to-back. The next night, they faced the Brooklyn Nets. This time, it was an 18-point third-quarter lead that vanished into thin air, ending in an 8-point loss. At this point, it started feeling less like bad luck and more like a pattern. Dominate early, fall apart late. Now, losing to Oklahoma City was understandable in their next game. The Thunder have been balling out this season and are currently the top seed in the West. But the Phoenix game after that, that's when the alarm bells started ringing. The Suns didn't just beat the Warriors, they owned them. By halftime, Phoenix was up by 17, and while Golden State tried to fight back in the second half, they were never really in it. Devin Booker dropped 27 points like it was nothing, while Kevin Durant had a smooth double-double with 21 points and 10 rebounds. Meanwhile, the Warriors looked flat. Fresh off an injury, Steph Curry tried to carry the load with 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. But it wasn't enough. Andrew Wiggins chipped in 18 points, and Draymond Green had 13 points and 7 assists. But the team chemistry seemed off. The 113-105 loss in Arizona marked their 4th straight defeat. Sure, it's not time to hit the panic button yet. This isn't a full-blown disaster, but it's definitely a warning sign. This team, coached by Steve Kerr, thrives on rhythm and momentum, and they looked out of sync. They walked in their most recent clash with the Denver Nuggets on the wrong side of a 4-game losing streak, searching for answers. On paper, this matchup against the Nuggets seemed like the perfect opportunity. The game was theirs to win, or at least it looked like it. The Warriors led by double digits in the fourth quarter, seemingly posed to end their skid. But then, as if on cue, they crumbled yet again. Denver closed the game on a brutal 21-6 run, holding the Warriors scoreless for the final 2.5 minutes. Gut punch loss is putting it mildly. The final dagger came in the last seconds. Steph Curry got a rebound after Jokic swatted Jonathan Kuminga's shot, giving Golden State one more shot at redemption. But Andrew Wiggins slipped, literally, and the ball popped loose. Jokic then iced the game with 2 free throws, sealing a 119-115 Nuggets win. Jokic wasn't just good, he was unstoppable, which is why he is always a front-runner for the MVP. The 2-time MVP posted 38 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 steals. He shot 3 for 4 from deep and was a jaw-dropping plus 23 in his 40 minutes on the floor. Basically, when the Joker was on the court, he owned them. Midway through the second quarter, the Warriors had a comfortable 12-point lead, but in the final 4 minutes and 12 seconds of the half, Jokic flipped the script. He dropped 9 points, grabbed 3 rebounds, snagged a steal, and dished out 2 assists, one leading to a Jamal Murray 3, the other to a Christian Braun and 1. Just like that, the lead evaporated. In the fourth quarter, it was deja vu all over again for the Dubs as Jokic bent the game to his will. For the Warriors, this loss was salt in an already festering wound. It wasn't just about losing the game, it was about who they lost to. Since Golden State knocked out Denver in the first round in 2022, Jokic has been on a personal mission. The Nuggets have now won 7 straight against the Warriors, with Jokic treating every matchup like a revenge tour. Late game execution, or lack thereof, is killing the Dubs. Blowing double-digit leads has become their calling card in this stretch. Their defense falters under pressure, and their offense seems to freeze when it matters most. And while Steph, Wiggins, and Draymond are putting up decent numbers, the team's chemistry and consistency just aren't there. Their late-game execution has been a nightmare, as they're not doing enough to keep the wheels from coming off late in games. This skid might just be a hiccup, or it could be a sign of deeper cracks forming. The Warriors are stuck in a weird limbo between their aging core and their younger players, and it's showing on the court. If they can't figure out how to close games and fast, they risk wasting what's left of their championship window. The loss to the Nuggets was a wake-up call. The question is, will they answer it? 5 straight losses. That's the uncomfortable reality for the Golden State Warriors, and it's starting to look less like a blip and more like a worrying trend. But it's not also only about how they end that has been a problem for the Dubs. Take the Nets loss, for example. Steph Curry dropped 24 points and dished out 11 assists, but the Warriors couldn't close it out. Why? It's partly how they're starting games. Across 19 games this season, the Warriors have been forced to claw back from first quarter deficits 8 times. On the flip side, it's an entirely different story when they come out strong. They're 8-1 leading after the first. The problem is clear. They're spending too much energy digging themselves out of holes early on. The defensive issues at the start of games are glaring. Over the last 4 outings, opponents are shooting 47% in the first quarter, while the Warriors are struggling to find a rhythm, hitting just over 40% from the field. This lackluster start forces Coach Steve Kerr to tinker with his rotation, searching for the right mix to spark the team. But constant lineup changes might be disrupting the flow even further. So, should the Warriors focus on locking down defensively or finding their offensive groove early? Neither has been consistent, and it's showing. Statistically, the Warriors shine in the middle quarters. They're a modest +8 in the first quarter for the season, decent but far from elite. Then they kick things into gear. They're +35 in the second quarter and an astonishing +95 in the third. Easily the best in the league after halftime. But the fourth quarter, that's where it all falls apart. They rank 14th in the NBA in fourth quarter scoring and have been outscored by 23 points in the final frame this season. And it's exhausting to always play from behind. Take their thrilling comeback against the Pelicans earlier this season. Without Steph or Wiggins, they erased a 17-point deficit and turned it into an 18-point win. Buddy Hield went off for 28 points. Lindy Waters exploded for 21 off the bench. Brandon Podziemski added 19, and Moses Moody chipped in 17. But here's the thing. Those standout performances have vanished. Hield hasn't scored over 20 points in a month, and neither Podziemski nor Moody has come close to matching their early season numbers again. Speaking of which, when you think of a shooting slump, it's usually tied to one player. But for the Golden State Warriors, it feels like the whole squad is stuck in quicksand. And right in the middle of the conversation is Buddy Hield. Let's rewind to the start of the season. When Hield joined the lineup, he looked like the missing puzzle piece. The Warriors cruised to a 7-1 record in their first 8 games, with Hield averaging over 21 points per game while shooting a blistering 50% from both the field and beyond the arc. It was like everything he touched turned into gold. Fast forward to now, and that gold has lost some of its shine. Over the last 10 games, Hield's numbers have taken a dip, just barely over 11 points per game, 40% shooting from the field, and 37% from 3. Sure, that 3-point percentage is still above league average, but the drop-off is significant, and it's mirrored in the Warriors' performance as a team. The skepticism around Hield replacing Klay was inevitable. Klay's defensive chops made him a two-way legend, while Hield is more offense-focused. Yet, early in the season, Hield proved he wasn't just riding on Steph's coattails. He quickly became the Warriors' third leading scorer, trailing only Steph and Wiggins, and he did it while coming off the bench. For Hield, part of the problem has been his reduced minutes. Early on, he was logging 28 to 32 minutes per game, giving him time to find his rhythm and gel with Steph. Lately, he's been stuck in the high teens or low 20s, which limits his opportunities to shine. And playing alongside Steph is crucial, not just because Steph draws so much defensive attention, but because Hield has been studying the two-time MVP's off-ball movement to improve his own game. That's not to say Hield can't create his own offense. The Bahamian sharpshooter is a proven scorer. However, the Warriors' strategy often relies on Steph acting as a decoy, opening up shots for players like Hield. Of course, this slump isn't just about one player. During their recent losses, they've posted a dismal just over 41% shooting percentage, the third worst in the league over that stretch. But cracks are showing as the Warriors stumble through this 5-game losing streak. All 5 losses have been tight, none by more than 10 points, but they've been gut punches. Golden State has slid from first at some point to 7th in the Western Conference. And while the standings are tight, the optics are rough. Golden State has the pieces to be great. They've shown it in flashes this season. But this slump will keep them stuck in mediocrity until they find consistency in rotations, shooting, and closing out games. The good news is that the talent is still there. The bad news is that the question is whether they'll figure it out before it's too late. Steph Curry, the heart and soul of his team, is 36 years old now, and he's dealing with nagging bilateral knee pain. Draymond Green, the vocal leader and defensive maestro, is also on the sidelines with left calf tightness. And as if that wasn't enough, De'Anthony Melton, who was supposed to be the perfect two-way backcourt complement to Steph, is out for the season. When your key core players are limping or not even suiting up, the cracks start to show. The Warriors' depth is being tested, and while they have some talented pieces, it's hard to replace Steph's gravity on the court or Draymond's playmaking and defensive instincts. Teams are more offensively gifted than ever, and the Warriors have learned this the hard way. Take their game against the Nuggets. Golden State was leading late in the game, but they couldn't slam the door shut. Instead, they watched Denver chip away, take control, and walk away with the win. So, more tough games are expected to come. It won't get easier. What hasn't helped is Steve Kerr's constant tinkering with the rotation. For weeks, Kerr has been throwing lineups at the wall to see what sticks, and it hasn't worked. But there is a silver lining. Against Denver, Kerr finally tightened things up. Players like Pat Spencer and Lindy Waters III saw minimal minutes, and the team looked sharper. Despite the slump, there's still hope. The Warriors may have lost their shot at a home game in the NBA Cup quarterfinals, but they're still alive. The stakes are high, and the margin for error is slim. But if there's one thing we know about the Warriors, it's that they thrive under pressure. With Steph, Draymond, and Kerr at the helm, this team has climbed out of slumps before. Can they do it again? That's the million-dollar question. So, do you think they can bounce back, or will it be the same old story as last season? Let us know in the comment section, and please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and check out this video here.